In this video, I'm going to show you how to instantly fix hip pain off to one side. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, Dr. Rowe coming to you from SpineCare in St. Joseph, Michigan. In this video, we're going to go over some great exercises that are going to focus on one-sided hip pain. Let's start with one of my favorites. It's known as the 3D hip flexor stretch. It's going to target the front of the legs into the hip flexors, which are a big instigator of hip pain, but we're going to add a little bit of a twist to it to focus on different movements and different muscles that might be causing that hip pain. I'm going to be using something sturdy like a foldable chair. You can use anything that you like. I've seen people even do this on a staircase. I'm going to start off by putting one leg up just like this. My knee is going to be bent roughly at 90 degrees. Let's have very good upright posture. I'm going to put my back leg right here just a little bit further back, making sure that my knee is straight. I'm going to take my hands, place them on the hips just like this. We're going to lean forward with our body, kind of like a lunge position. Keep going forward while keeping this back leg straight at the knee. What you're going to notice is you're going to get a very deep stretch into the front part of the straight leg. It feels really good. That's the hip flexors starting to get a very, very deep stretch. Keep going forward as much as you can, only to your comfort level, and let's hold this one right here for about 20 to 30 seconds. From there, we're going to relax and take a breather. Repeat this, and on the next repetition, go just a little bit deeper with that stretch. Always challenge yourself to get a better stretch to relieve tightness and tension out of those muscles. You want to do this for about 3 to 5 times. From there, let's throw some dynamic movements in there to target different areas and hopefully loosen that hip up even more. So I'm going to get back into that original position of going forward just like this. This time around though, I'm going to pull my arms up like this, and then I'm going to twist my body towards the side of the back leg. In this case, it would be my right. I keep going as far as I can. What you'll notice is this really will help open up the lower back, stretch different muscles, and it will hit the hip just a little bit differently. Again, go for a deep stretch. Hold this one right here for about 20 to 30 seconds. You're just going to relax, take a breather, and then repeat this up to 5 times. I also will experiment by going away from the hip just like this. Again, you'll notice that it hits it just a little bit differently. So go towards the opposite side and notice if that does hit it a little bit better. If it does, throw more repetitions in at that point. I also like to focus on a little bit of a lean with this exercise to target off to the side with a muscle known as the quadratus lumborum, or the QL muscle. That's a big instigator of back pain, including causing issues with the hip. So let's get back into our original stance of leaning forward like this. What I'm going to do from there is put my arms out in front of me like this, overlap the hands, put them overhead, and then I'm going to bend or tilt my body away from the side of the straight leg. So in this case, I'd be tilting towards my left. What you'll notice is this offers a very deep stretch from the side right here into the lower back into the hip. Tilt as far as you can. Hold this one right here for about 20 to 30 seconds. You're just going to relax, take a breather, and then you're going to repeat this 3 to 5 times. Go through all of those motions. If you feel like one just targets the hip pain a little bit better, make note of that. Always focus on the movements that offer you the most amount of relief. And from there, always switch to the other side to make sure that you keep everything in balance. Here's a great hip exercise that you can do daily first thing in bed. We're going to focus on external and internal rotation of the hip, two movements that become very painful with things such as hip arthritis. Let's lay on our back just like this. I'm going to start with external rotation, or taking the leg out like this to begin with an exercise that's known as the clamshell. I'm going to put my feet together, and then I'm going to slide my feet and heels towards my butt until I feel an initial stretch right at the hips. From there, I'm going to take my hands, place them on the inside of the legs right near the knees, and then push down with my hands into my knees. We're trying to take the knees downwards as much as we can. When you do this, you're going to feel a very deep stretch in the inner part of the leg, into the groin, and also into the hips. Really focus on feeling it into that hip. Once we hit a very deep but comfortable stretch, let's hold this one for 20 to 30 seconds. Do nice, slow, controlled breathing also. From there, you can relax and take a breather. And then we want to repeat this 3 to 5 times. With each repetition, try to drive the knees down just a little bit more to get a better stretch. Next, let's focus on internal rotation of that hip. What I'm going to do whatever side that I'm having pain, let's say it's my right side, I'm going to bend my knee, keep my right foot flat. My left leg is going to come up. I'm going to place my left ankle right on the outside of my right leg, right by the knee. Press into it just a little bit for a stable anchor point. We don't want this slipping. What I'm going to do from there is try to keep my back as flat as possible, and I'm going to take this leg right here and then twist my right knee towards the opposite direction. So my left leg is taking my right leg towards the opposite direction. When you do this, you're going to feel a very deep stretch start to happen on the outside of that right leg into that hip. I really feel it into my right hip right now. I want to go for a very deep stretch. Hold this one for about 20 to 30 seconds. I'm just going to relax at that point, and then I'm going to repeat this up to 5 times. Again, with each repetition, trying to stretch into it just a little bit more. But it's a good way to focus on external and internal rotation. And for good measure, I would try this on the other side just to keep both sides in balance. So here's how we can fix one-sided hip pain in a chair. This is known as a seated figure 4 or pigeon pose. It's perfect for office workers or students or anybody that has to sit for long periods of time. Go to the edge of a chair, whatever side that you're having hip pain. Let's say it's my right side. I'm going to take that leg, put my ankle over my left knee. So when I look down, it should look like a figure 4. From there, what I'm going to do is have very good upright posture and put my hands right on my hips. I'm going to then lean forward and pivot through the waist. So I'm not trying to round my back with this one, but instead I'm going to pivot forward through my waist, through my hips. The more that we pivot forward, the more that you're going to feel it in the lower back, glute buttocks, and also the hips. Really focus on feeling it through the hips. Once we hit a very deep but comfortable stretch, let's hold this one for 20 to 30 seconds. Do nice, slow, controlled breathing also. Let that tension out. From there, we're going to come back up and take a breather. Do this 3 to 5 times. With each repetition, try to stretch into it just a little bit more to target those muscles. From there, I like to put a little bit more dynamic movements in there to focus on different muscles and just opening up the hip a little bit more. Hopefully we'll get some more pain relief with this. I'm going to go back into that original stretch of pivoting forward, but this time around I'm going to put my arms overlapping like this, and then I'm just going to twist away from my hip. So I'm just rotating my lower back and upper body to my left, and this feels really good. I'm noticing that it's opening up the hip just a little bit differently. Again, I try to hold this one for 20 to 30 seconds. I'm just going to relax, take a breather. From there, I'm going to go towards the other side and repeat. You want to do this for about 3 to 5 repetitions on both sides. Then I like to target a little bit more off to the side right here into that quadratus lumborum muscle. So this time around, I'm going to have very good upright posture. Hands go back on the hips like this, and I'm going to pivot my body away from that side. So I'm leaning my body towards the left. When I do this, it feels really good. A deep stretch on the right side of my body from my lower back going all the way down to the hip. I hold this one for about 20 to 30 seconds. I come back up, take a breather, and then I'm just going to lean towards it at that point. I try to repeat this 3 to 5 times on both sides. Go through all of those movements. If you do notice that one just works better for you, throw more repetitions in at that point. And I do recommend that if you do it on one side, even if the other side doesn't hurt, do it on that side just to keep everything in balance. So without a doubt, if we want to get rid of hip pain off to that one side, we have to strengthen everything, build a better support system for our hip. Here's a compound exercise that's known as a donkey kick fire hydrant. I'm going to start off on all fours. You can do this one in bed if your mattress is firm enough, but you'll probably find doing it on the floor is the easiest. So I'm going to start off by just raising up the painful side. So in this case, it's my right side. Just lift the knee up just like this. I'm going to take my knee and then bring it up towards me like this. Engage the core muscles. You should already start to feel a little bit of activation into the hip, glute, buttocks. Hold this for about 2 to 3 seconds and then slowly bring the leg back like this, keeping it bent roughly at 90 degrees and then raising it up towards the ceiling, that foot. You'll really feel a lot fire in the back, into the glute buttock, also around the hip and legs. Hold this right here for about 3 seconds. From there, you're just going to relax, come back down. The next part is the fire hydrant. So I'm going to lift up again, and then I'm going to just roll my whole body towards the side of pain. So if I'm having right-sided issues, I'm going to lift up with my right leg, keeping my knee bent at 90 degrees, and then turning my whole body up towards the ceiling. And this one right here really will fire into the glute buttocks. Really focus on feeling it there because that will help strengthen the hip. I try to hold this one for about 5 seconds. From there, I just relax and then take a breather. And then I'm just going to repeat this process just nice and slowly, always focusing on building strength and stability through nice coordinated movements. But I try to do this about 10 to 15 repetitions on both sides. And if you feel like you have just a little bit more left in the tank, you can throw some more sets in, upwards to 2 to 3. But I do recommend that when you're done on one side to switch to the other to keep them both in balance. Here's another strengthening exercise known as the hip wall slider. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of a twist to it, literally to focus more on internal and external rotation, taking it to the next level and helping with things such as hip arthritis. What I'm going to do is go next to a door or a wall. Make sure to wear thick socks with this because it will reduce friction, making this movement a lot easier to do. You're going to want to lay on your side, with the top side being the painful side, facing up towards the ceiling. So in this case, it would be my left hip. I'm going to take my right knee, bend it, and then I'm going to take my right foot and then press into the wall for a little bit more stability. You can rest your head on your hand just like this. The top leg, we want to keep that knee straight as possible during this exercise. I'm going to then take my heel and press into that wall. From there, I'm just going to raise my leg up while keeping it straight as far as I can. When you do this, you're going to feel a lot activate into the inner part of the leg, groin. You're going to feel it in the glute buttock, and more importantly, right into that hip. Really focus on feeling it into the hip. Once we can't go any further, what we want to do is hold this right here for about 3 to 5 seconds. From there, I'm going to slowly come back down, fight that resistance to work the muscles just a little bit differently, and then go back to our starting point. From here, I'm going to take it to the next level by focusing on rotation of the hip. So I'm going to take my foot outwards, almost like turning my whole leg outwards. This will put the hip into external rotation. And then I'm going to repeat this process. You'll notice that it hits it just a little bit differently. So do that. And then on the next repetition, I'm going to turn my foot inwards, that whole leg, to put the hip into internal rotation. And then I'm going to repeat this process. This one's really tricky. My knee is already trying to buckle. But what I'm going to do is nice slow movements. And I'm going to try to do this 15 complete times, or 5 times in each direction. So straight, doing it 5 times, and then outwards and inwards 5 times, total of 15 repetitions. If you feel like one movement, let's say that just taking the foot out like this is the hardest one and you feel a lot of weakness or tightness while doing this, focus on that just a little bit more, because by focusing on movements in areas that need it the most, you'll get better results. And when you get done with all of that, if you do feel like you have a little bit more energy, you can throw another set or 2 in. Just focus on strengthening those muscles as much as you can. And when you're done on one side, I would recommend switching to the other just to keep both in balance. If the exercises helped, please support the channel by giving this video a like and maybe subscribing too. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.